This is your one and only FireSpark81 with your daily dose of video goodness, and today we are taking a look at my most broken build to date for Baldur's Gate 3 called the Thunder Rogue. Let's get to it. We're going to start off with levels, so you are going to start out as a cleric. Doesn't matter which race you want to pick whichever is your favorite, whatever you want to roleplay as. It's not really going to matter that much because I didn't figure any racial traits into this build, so it's really not going to matter what they are. You are going to be absolutely broken regardless. So for your cantrips, I would go with Sacred Flame, Guidance, and Produce Flame, or just pick whichever ones you want out of this. Doesn't really matter that much. You're not going to use them very often, but those are the ones I like, and Guidance is kind of one of those ones that if you can pick it, you should pick it because it's super handy. For our subclass, we are going to pick the Tempest domain, and we're going to pick this for many reasons, one of which it's what the build is centered around, and two of which it gives us access to all weapons and all armor, which is absolutely fantastic because early game, you can slap on some heavy armor and be good to go. It also gets us Thunder Wave and one of the most OP spells in the game, Fog Cloud. We also get the Wrath of the Storm ability, but after level 3, we're never really going to get hit, so it doesn't really do much for us, but it's nice to have regardless. For your ability points, you are going to go 10 into Strength, 16 into Dexterity, 14 into Constitution, 8 into Intelligence, and 16 into Wisdom, 10 into Charisma. Now, you could put 10 points into Charisma or Intelligence, it really doesn't matter. I advise putting at least 10 in Strength because that's going to help you with just jumping, lifting, carrying, and Strength is just one of those stats that it's nice to have a little bit in. I chose Charisma because if we run into any Charisma checks, it's better to have a little than none, and it's going to help us more than 10 Intelligence, but those points really don't matter. The key points here are the 16 in Dexterity, 14 into Constitution, and 16 into Wisdom. Depending on what your racial traits are, your background, all of that, you're going to have different skill proficiencies to pick from besides what we have for picking Cleric. If you can, select anything that's going to give you increased stealth. At level 2, we are going to immediately subclass into Rogue. Make sure that when you do this, you select abilities, and if you can put any more proficiency points into Stealth. If you can't put any into Stealth, put them into whatever else you want. Sleight of Hand would be super helpful, or Perception. Whatever you want to choose there, just always choose Stealth first. At level 3, we are going to go Rogue again. This puts us at Rogue 2. This is when we get our bonus actions to hide, dash, and disengage. And at this point, you are broken. So before we continue on with how you should level up, let me explain how this breaks you. Now, in this footage, I'm using a character that is level 4, but you don't need to be level 4 to be broken. You can do exactly what I'm showing you how to do here at level 3 because you have the bonus action to hide. So when the fight starts out, you cast Fog Cloud. You step inside the Fog Cloud and you hide. You pass the turn to the enemy. The enemy will do nothing. Now, when you cast that Fog Cloud, you kind of want to cast it in a way that it puts all of the enemies to one side of it and you on the other side. This is going to allow you to easily step out and stay hidden because they can't see through the Fog Cloud. However, you can attack through the Fog Cloud. It does not mess with your attack vision, but it messes with your perception vision. So when you hold down Shift to see their cone of view, it stops short of the Fog Cloud. However, you can attack right through it, unlike Darkness, without any issues whatsoever. And this allows you to easily pop out of the Fog Cloud when it's your turn, shoot the enemy with a sneak attack, go back into the Fog Cloud, and hide. When you're inside the Fog Cloud, you are heavily obscured, and the enemy will just not do anything. They can't see you, their detection spells don't work, absolutely nothing happens. When you are in a heavily obscured area, you are completely invisible to the enemy. Well, maybe not all heavily obscured areas, but definitely the Fog Cloud heavily obscured area. And this completely breaks the game. At this point, the game is going to be pretty much a cakewalk for you, and this whole build can be used for solo gameplay without any problems whatsoever. Now, do note that at this level, you are going to have limited casts of Fog Cloud. You only have 2 spell slots, and those spell slots only regen on a long rest. So you're going to be taking a lot of long rests with this build. If the fight goes past 20 turns, then you're going to have to start relying on Darkness arrows, which will get you 3 turns of Darkness. You can use this same method. You can hide inside of the Darkness. The only difference is you can't attack from one side of the Darkness to the other like you can with Fog Cloud. And as you can see in the footage, it is insanely broken. The enemy just does not know what to do, and they just stand around and do nothing and skip their turns. There are 2 rings that I highly suggest getting that you can get in Act 1, and that is the Caustic Band, which just straight adds a flat 2 acid damage to all of your attacks. You can get this in the Underdark, and getting this should not influence how your story plays out very much. I'm not going to go into details about it, but it is easy to get this ring without doing any drastic influences to your story. Now, the other Another ring that I highly suggest getting is the Strange Conduit ring. This ring adds 1 to 4 psychic damage when you're concentrating on a spell. Since Fog Cloud is a concentration spell, you're going to be always concentrating on a spell, which will add 1 to 4 psychic damage to all of your attacks. Having both of these rings adds an additional 3 to 6 damage to all of your attacks. They are extremely helpful to have, and the Strange Conduit ring will last you until mid-game till we get a ring to replace it, and the Caustic Band will last you clear till endgame. Now, depending on how you go about getting the Strange Conduit ring, it can have drastic effects on your story. So if you don't want to have to deal with the consequences of those effects and get this ring, I will show you how to get this ring without influencing your story near the end of this video. So stick around if you want that information. Okay, let's continue on with the levels. So at level 4, that is going to put us into Rogue 3. This is where you get to choose your rogue subclass. You're going to choose Thief. You need those double bonus actions to become extremely broken later on in the game when we get a specific item. At level 5, that is going to put us at Rogue 4, and this is when we get our first feat point. You want to put that point into ability improvements and increase your dexterity by 2. Now, I should point out that the majority of your attacks are going to be at range, and you're going to be using a bow. Use whatever bow you like the best bow that you can find that deals the most damage. Later on in the game, you will want a specific bow. We'll talk about that when we get there, but throughout the rest of the game, it doesn't really matter. Just find the best bow that you can find. Now, I do recommend the one that you can get as a quest reward called the Jolt Shooter. This one gives you 2 lightning charges whenever you deal damage with the weapon, so every now and then you get a burst of damage, because when you get a specific amount of lightning charges, you deal extra lightning damage. Just having the charges deals 1 lightning damage. As for your melee weapon, I highly advise using the Sword of Screams, although you have to make a specific choice in order to get the Sword of Screams, and that may not be a choice that you want to make for your playthrough. It can be gotten in the Underdark. So if you don't go after that one, just go with whatever finesse weapon that you want to go with that does the most damage. Your melee weapon needs to be a finesse weapon so that its additional damage is based off of your dexterity and not your strength. And you also need it to do sneak attacks. You cannot do sneak attacks without a finesse weapon unless you're doing ranged attacks. So now that you've gotten your first feat and you have hit level 4 rogue, you are going into level 6, and from this point on, you are only going to level cleric. Yep, it's a majority cleric build that plays like a rogue. You will get a ton of random utility from all of these cleric spells to run support with your party if you are running this build with a party. If you're not running it with a party and you're running it solo, you get a ton of extra things to help support your solo playthrough. Lots of really nice support spells. Bless is fantastic, although you won't be able to cast that until we get a specific item, and you just get a lot of really handy stuff. But what we're after is all of the additional abilities that we get from going Tempest Cleric. At level 8, you're going to get your next feat point, and for that one, I would go straight for Savage Attacker. Level 10, you get Thunderbolt Strikes, which is a fun little ability. So anytime you do lightning or thunder damage to a large or smaller creature, you knock it back 3 meters. If you are still using the Jolt Shooter bow that I suggested to use, or anything else that's going to give you lightning damage, all of your attacks will deal lightning damage. It only needs to be a single lightning damage in order to get this knockback effect, which can be insanely handy for pushing enemies around. Now, finally, at level 12, I know it's at level 12 and it sucks. You don't get it until you are max level, but we get our signature ability, which is the whole thing we were after for this build, which is Divine Strike Thunder. This allows all of our melee attacks to deal 1 to 8 thunder damage and knock the enemy back. Because remember, when we deal lightning or thunder damage, we knock the enemy back. We also get our final feat, and for that, you are going to choose ability improvements again, and you are going to max out your dexterity to 20. Now let's talk about the 2 items that you need to turn this build into a ridiculous monster of a build. The first one that you want to get is the Eversight Ring. This ring states that you can't be blinded. This means that when you are inside of a fog cloud, you never have to leave the fog cloud because you're not blinded by the fog cloud, so you can just attack from the fog cloud. One more time, just for good measure, fog cloud. This ring can be picked up in the House of Healing morgue. According to the information I found, yes, I already have the ring, but I don't remember getting it, but according to the information I found online, it's located in the morgue. Shortly after you fight some zombies there is an opulent chest somewhere inside the morgue, and this ring is inside of it. And the morgue is located here on the map. So So when you get to Act 2, make sure you make a beeline straight for this ring. The other item that you need is the Cloak of Cunning Broom. This can be picked up at the Last Light Inn by a merchant there named Mattis. Once again, already have this one. Don't have a save before I picked it up, so just look for Mattis the merchant at the Last Light Inn and pick up this cloak. This cloak is absolutely insane. Whenever you disengage, you create a fog cloud. This gives you infinite fog clouds, well, one per turn, so you never have to worry about expending a spell slot ever again. The other fun thing about this is you can walk up to the face of an enemy, cast it, they are inside the fog cloud, they are blinded. This gives you advantage to then do a sneak attack and hit them. When you sneak attack and hit them, it knocks them backwards, which keeps them from being able to threaten you. Then you can just hide inside of your fog cloud. Not only that, this thing is so incredibly broken that it states that the fog cloud only lasts one turn. But here's the kicker. If you move from your fog cloud right outside of its range and you cast another fog cloud, so disengage again, it connects to the previous fog cloud. The previous fog cloud's duration gets reset to the new fog cloud's duration. So if you're doing this every single turn, making sure that the fog clouds are connected every single turn, you end up covering the entire map in a fog cloud as you move around it. Now do note that if you do not move and you cast fog cloud again or disengage to cast it again in the exact same spot, it does not work, it breaks, and you'll just lose your fog cloud. So you have to move every single turn. At this point, you are an absolutely insanely unstoppable force to be reckoned with. You are the shadows, you are the night. Nothing can do anything to deal with you. You attack the enemy from the fog cloud, you move, you create another fog cloud, you hide. You rinse, repeat this every turn, and the AI will do nothing. It is insanely broken. And just in case it wasn't clear, once you pick up the Eversight ring, you will remove the Strange Conduit ring and put the Eversight ring in its place. So the two rings you should be wearing at this point, clear until endgame, are the Eversight ring and the Caustic Band. There's a bow that you can buy in Act 3 called the Dead Shot. It's relatively late game that you get it, but it increases your chance even more to crit. There are also some other items that you can get while you're just playing throughout the game that increase your chance to crit. A majority of those are when you are heavily obscured. You're always going to be heavily obscured, so if you get a chance to get any of those items or you pick those items up, you want to prioritize those items because increasing your chance to hit is going to have you do more damage, and more damage is always good. If you don't go for those items, you want to go for any item that you can get that is going to increase your damage amount, either by adding an additional dice to it or a flat amount. And that's pretty much the build. It's absolutely insanely broken. It's really great with the team. It's really great solo. It's just an insanely strong build. The downside to the build is you only get one attack per turn, but it doesn't really matter because the enemy can't do anything. So the fact that you only get one attack per turn is kind of pointless. All right, so now I'm going to tell you how you can get the Strange Conduit ring without influencing the storyline. So there's about to be heavy spoilers. If for some reason you have not beaten the game yet, you don't want any spoilers, now is your chance to click off from the video. Thank you for watching until this long, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, so for everybody who is still here, let's talk about how to get this ring. This ring is found in the Githyanki Creche. So for those of you who do not know, you can go to the Creche, you can get back to Act 1, just same as you can go down into the Underdark, and you can get back to the Grove area map. So you want to make your way to the Creche. Once you get there, you get to a lady. She is going to ask you if you have the artifact. Just tell her no. She has a special little stone in her that's kind of like a key for the doorway that you need to get through. You are going to just pickpocket that stone. So save right before you do it and just pickpocket until you're able to get it from her. It's really easy to do. I got it on the first try. She's not going to notice. You want to make immediate run for the door, and you are just going to put it into the lock there at the door, and then you want to go through the door as quickly as possible before she realizes she's been stolen from. Once you've done this, you will cross a bridge and there's a massive door at the end. If you open that door and walk in there, it's going to trigger a cutscene, and this is when drastic story changes can happen. It locks you into this decision, but there's a way around this. There is a brazier right by the door. Make sure you click that and turn that off so that that area there is shrouded in shadow. Hide your entire party, leave a majority of your party back on the bridge somewhere. You need somebody that can cast Mage Hand. Have them stealth, have them cast Mage Hand. Go into turn-based mode and then open the door. Move the person who cast Mage Hand and opened the door back with the rest of your party. Take the Mage Hand into the area. They will completely ignore the Mage Hand. The Mage Hand will not trigger a cutscene. The chest is right here. You can see me picking it up on the screen. You want to use the Mage Hand and pick it up and move it. Do not throw it. If you throw it, it makes them angry and triggers a fight and they destroy your Mage Hand. If you you just pick it up and move it, they just hate you more and more as you're doing it and nothing else happens. Pick it up and move it till you get to the base of the second set of stairs. For some reason, I wasn't able to move it up the stairs. If you can, fantastic. Keep doing this until you get it to the door or past the door. What I did is I got it to the base of the stairs, then threw it to the door. Once you do this and you throw it to the right side of the door, if you're looking at the door from the perspective of mage hand and not your party, if you're looking at it through your party, it'd be the left side of the door. You can see where I'm throwing it on the screen. You throw it there. Then because that area is heavily shrouded in shadow, you can have your sneaky person sneak over there, open the chest, take the ring. Now, shut the door. Once you have done this and you head across the bridge, there is going to be angry 𝐴𝐽𝐾 there waiting for you. You can't do anything about that. You're gonna have to fight them. Make sure you equip your newfound fancy trinket onto your person who you are doing this build with, because it's going to make you that much stronger. And then this fight is a piece of cake for this build. Then you can run back out of the area there, and it isn't far till you get past the second set of doors, and then you can just teleport out of the creche back to wherever you want to teleport to. You can go back to the Emerald Grove, you can go back to the Underdark, wherever. It's not going to influence your story or how you get to chapter 2. All right, and that is pretty much it for this one. Hopefully you all found this video helpful and informational. If you did, consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more Baldur's Gate 3 content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.